Hey everyone, welcome to part 1 of the Santa Fe Locomotive upgrade, kicking off my brand new DCC Workbench series. In this series, I'll be upgrading a Santa Fe unit from Athearn. It's going to be a multi-part build, because we got a lot of ground to cover. And let's face it, I can't stop at just the decoder. That would be far too reasonable. If you want to see how I bring this loco to life, stick around. Hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell. You know the drill. It really does help the channel, and honestly, it gives my canopy glue a good reason to get out of bed in the morning. I'll be installing a Loksound decoder, adding a speaker, adding customized lighting, including ground lights and stair lights. Now, as far as I can tell, ground lights were never actually installed on the prototype, even after Norfolk Southern picked up this unit from BNSF. So, feeling a little cheated, and not liking that too much, I'm taking a creative turn and turning this into a hypotypical build. Basically, that's what happens when you give a model railroader a soldering iron with no adult supervision. Along the way, I'll also be cleaning up the factory wire management, upgrading the couplers, and making a few tweaks to bring it up to my specs, so it can join the roster and not cause trouble in the yard, like a good locomotive should. So join me for the ride with close-up shots and step-by-step detail the whole way through. Let's get started. Alright, before we dive in and start soldering things to other things, let's take a quick look at the parts and supplies I'm using for this project. I've got a direct fit ESU Loksound decoder to make this model cost more like the real ones, a 28mm round speaker rated at 1 watt and 8 ohms, 6 pre-wired 0402 LEDs because a relaxing hobby should be spent soldering small wires you can't see, roughly around 10,000 KD washers. Wait, what? No, I meant 2 each KD washers that have the thickness of 10,000ths of an inch thick. Some installs may require 4 each, more on that later. 2 Details West SL 172 light housing, 2 M2 by 5mm screws, small enough to vanish instantly if you even think about setting them down, a jumbo-sized jug of canopy glue, even if we don't need that much, and finally 1mm and 2mm sizes of heat shrink tubing. I'll also be using a few other basic tools and supplies throughout the video: cutters, tweezers, flux, and 3 or 4 units of patience. More if you can find them. Disassembly is quick. First, I'm going to remove the front coupler. And next, I'm going to remove the rear coupler. There are 2 screws hiding under the trucks at each end of the locomotive. Kind of makes you think what they done. Next, I loosen and remove the single screw holding the fuel tank in place, allowing the fuel tank to lift off, well, like a fuel tank. After finding the second truck screw hideout, I remove that too. You can run, but with both couplers, the fuel tank, and the 2 frame screws removed, the shell lifts off cleanly, exposing the interior of the unit. I like to use a container with a tight fitting lid to store all my parts. This helps prevent loss, and if you have any pets, it keeps them from adopting a new toy. Next, I remove all the clips holding the various wires to the factory mainboard. These clips can be snug, so I use something sturdy like a pair of bent tweezers. Every once in a while, I fight the urge to use a hammer. This includes the track power connections on each side, the commons, headlights, and the ditch lights. A quick note, the LED wires in this unit aren't DCC color coded, just plain red and black. Totally fine. That does not affect connectivity at all. It just adds a little suspense when you're trying to remember which wire goes where 3 steps from now. Once most of the wires are disconnected, I remove the factory board by pressing the 2 plastic tension clips and giving the board a gentle tug. Now I can get to the more stubborn wire connections, the ones that are held together by pure spite. And with that, the board is free. Like my weekend after I told everyone I was busy. I'll collect up the holders in case I have a use for them later. See, that wasn't too bad at all. The shell, frame, and mainboard are now separated. Next, I'll separate the cab from the shell. I'll do this by detaching the cab handrails from each side of the cab. Inside the cab, there are 2 nubs at the back and a plastic tension tab toward the front. By pressing on the rear nubs, a little here and a little there, the cab will slightly start to lift away from the shell. Making my way to the front of the cab to press that tension tab and do a little lift. Then I go back to the rear nubs with my trusty bent tweezers and give gentle little pushes. And that's enough to separate the cab. That wasn't too bad, was it? With just a little effort, this unit is now fully disassembled and ready for the next step. Let's take a minute to save ourselves from a nervous breakdown, in case one of the LEDs are broke from the factory. Before installing anything, always test your LEDs. Every single one. Don't trust them. They look innocent. But you were warned. It's a real headache to do all that work only to find out that one of the LEDs went on strike after you installed it. So take your time, no shortcuts, and test each and every LED before moving on. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Twisting wires. Now, when we get to wire management, you'll see why I twist the wires on each LED. Twisting adds strength, makes routing easier through tight spaces, and lets you shape the wires to the angle that you need. The goal is a tight twist for neatness and stability, but be mindful not to detach the LED from its soldered wires. Just twist the first half of the wire length. That amount is key for the next steps in wire management and soldering. Here, you can take a good look at what the finished twist should look like. Let's get into the wire management for the cab. This model uses 2 LEDs, one for each headlight. The wires from those LEDs just run through the cab and body without any support. There's not any wire sag in the cab, but very noticeable wire sag in the body as we seen earlier. For me, good wire management isn't just about looks, it's about keeping things neat, organized, and fixable later. In this step, I'm gluing a piece of 1mm heat shrink tubing to the top inside of the cab. That gives me a little wire tunnel for a clean, secure path that holds everything in place and sets the stage for what comes next. I'm going to use my go-to canopy glue because it works. It's durable, long-lasting, it dries clear, and stays flexible. The flexibility is very important as it really helps with vibration and movement. I really like the drying time properties of it. You can handle it in about 30 minutes, and a full cure is around 24 hours. And the best part of it, if I ever need to remove it, I can. Just a little water, and it lets go. Strong when I need it, removable when I don't. Now that the heat shrink tubing is all glued in, I'm going to set the cab aside to cure. Alright, let's recap what we did today. We made great progress. In this video, we laid out the key objectives, went over all the parts, prepped our LEDs, and disassembled the unit. We even snuck in a little wire management in setting up the stage for what's coming next. In part 2, we're installing ground lights with close-up shots so you can follow the process step by step. Microscope is not required. If you found the start of this build interesting, hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell. You won't want to miss it. Part 2 is just around the corner. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy railroading.